Welcome back, focused learners, to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're putting on our digital detective hats for some intense forensic work. We are going to connect the very architecture of the internet all the way down to the fundamental physics of the universe. It's like a giant puzzle, and we're uncovering exactly how information fundamentally decays and scrambles.
Let's start with a chilling quote straight from our sources. Google is a snake eating its own tail. Just let that sink in for a second. We're looking at a pretty terrifying reality here where the ultimate answer engine is mathematically destined to consume its own food supply, literally rotting the web from the inside out.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for the journey. We'll start with the dead internet spiral, move down into the hardware wood chipper, then look at the parallel mirrors of digital and complexity with the laws of quantum complexity, followed by black holes and wormholes, before finally talking about reclaiming information fidelity.
So, jumping into part one, the dead internet spiral, the AI siphon effect. We're going to look at how tech monopolies are absorbing vast amounts of human content without providing any traffic back to the source.
You know, these tech monopolies have completely shifted their relationship with the web, and the contrast is just stark. Think about the old web. It was this thriving digital commons, right? Filled with diverse, human-authored voices and independent experts sharing genuine knowledge. But now, we're dealing with the AI-gated web. It's basically a deluge of AI-generated slop where actual human authorship is reduced to buried footnotes behind entirely closed-off search engine walls. And because of this structural shift, literally thousands of hobby blogs and independent sites just vanished overnight. Poof, gone. The mechanism driving this collapse is something our sources call the AI siphon effect. This effectively forces answer engines to act as a bottleneck, meaning they eventually have to consume their own degraded, synthetic outputs. This starves human creators of the revenue they absolutely need to survive, which leads to an inevitable semantic collapse as the internet just fills up with highly lossy data. It's essentially like making a blurry photocopy of a photocopy. That brings us to section 2, the hardware wood chipper, descent to the metal. To really understand how this information decays, we have to go all the way down to the microscopic silicon metal to find the culprit. Researchers actually call this process the wood chipper effect, and it traces exactly how mathematical truth is lost step by step. Step 1, the AI ingests exact human source data. Step 2, the hardware encounters incredibly complex math and, well, it simply estimates it. It guesses. And step 3, because that math was just a guess, the original data provenance, the true source of the information, is permanently destroyed. The key takeaway here is that true forensic traceability becomes mathematically impossible right at the hardware level. Look at this staggering number on the screen. 80 to 90%. That is the estimated percentage of massive AI compute cycles that rely entirely on microscopic hardware guesses. They use something called a floating point unit, or FPU, gambler, instead of doing real, exact arithmetic. To connect all this incredibly complex math to our everyday reality, our source material offers a brilliant fruit smoothie metaphor. You can't unblend a strawberry. I mean, think about the absurdity of tossing fruit in a blender, hitting puree, and then trying to reassemble the original berry. No way, it's impossible. Just like that blender, the FPU gambler permanently drops tiny fractions, scrambling the data until the human author's original chain of title is literally liquidated.
So the crucial point is, what happens when continuous, fluid concepts are violently crushed into these tokenized guesses? Well, it triggers what researchers call a halted, non-halting geometric series decay. Now, in plain English, it just means mathematical errors snowball infinitely over time as these systems self-replicate. They inevitably cross a 50% terminal noise threshold, and once you cross that line, the genuine human signal is permanently lost to algorithmic distortion. And it's really important to understand that reality does not default to halted. Because the physical universe has no off switch. Physical computing machines actually require a mathematically engineered geometric quirk. It's essentially an artificial failsafe to force localized, safe halting amidst all this mathematical decay. Without it, the errors just keep cascading forever.
All right, section 3, the laws of quantum complexity, scrambling information. We are pivoting from the digital wood chipper to fundamental physics now. I want you to consider how the universe itself handles the loss of information fidelity.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it illustrates a single perturbation. Imagine a single photon dropping into a black hole. That perturbation rapidly spreads and completely thermalizes. That means it mixes entirely into the system, reaching immediate saturation at what physicists actually call the scrambling time. And this transition you see from exponential to linear growth is known as the switchback effect. It proves that certain mathematical frameworks, specifically K-local Hamiltonians, act as extremely fast scramblers. This makes quantum information incredibly difficult to untangle once it's mixed in. It's basically the cosmic equivalent of our unblended strawberry.
This brings us right to the second law of quantum complexity. It states that if a system is not already saturated, its quantum complexity will increase with overwhelming probability towards its maximum value. And we see this exact same thing in our digital AI networks. In both digital and quantum systems, information naturally drives toward a state of maximum tangled complexity. It's just a fundamental rule of nature.
Which leads us to Section 4, black holes and wormholes, ER equals EPR. Now we're preparing to bridge quantum entanglement with the geometry of spacetime itself. And this brilliantly illustrates the ER equals EPR conjecture. It's a connection that implies quantum entanglement. That's the EPR part, is directly linked to the creation of a physical Einstein-Rosen bridge, or a wormhole, right through the bulk space. To summarize the source's findings here impartially, as a system becomes more quantumly tangled and complex at its edges, the interior volume of the wormhole itself naturally expands. It's a fascinating concept that perfectly links abstract quantum math directly to physical geometric reality. Finally, Section 5, reclaiming information fidelity, stopping the decay. Because remember, while quantum black holes scramble perfectly, we can still save our digital universe from the wood chipper. Let's move to and see how this builds into actionable steps. To protect human authorship, we need to shift back to exact deterministic ALU hardware, math that actually calculates rather than guesses. We also need to implement manual human pruning and verification. And we need to establish simple, verifiable digital licensing. These proactive solutions can restore sovereign publishing and completely prevent that terminal semantic collapse. The architecture to fix this exists, but the clock is definitely ticking. So I want to leave you, our focused learners, with this haunting paradox. If an answer engine eats its own food supply faster than it can be replenished, what happens when it finally runs out of things to say? It's a lot to think about, right? Thank you for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning the systems around you, and I'll catch you next time.